The United States is often described as a single nation, but politically, it is frequently portrayed as two very different Americas. You may have heard the terms red states and blue states. They appear on election maps, news headlines, and political discussions around the world. But what do these labels really mean? Are Americans truly divided into two opposing camps? And if so, how did this divide develop, legally, historically, and culturally? This video is not about choosing sides. It is about understanding how these divisions formed, why they persist, and what they actually represent. What do red states and blue states mean? The terms red state and blue state refer to voting patterns in U.S. presidential elections. Red states generally vote for the Republican Party. Blue states generally vote for the Democratic Party. These color associations became standardized in the early 2000s through television election maps. They are media conventions, not legal classifications. Importantly, a state labeled red or blue does not mean every voter in that state shares the same beliefs. Every state contains urban voters, suburban voters, rural voters, and political diversity. The labels describe overall voting outcomes, not unanimous opinions. How the divide emerged historically. America was not always divided along today's lines. In the mid-20th century, southern states largely voted Democratic. Northern states leaned Republican. This began to change after the Civil Rights Movement, federal civil rights legislation, and shifts in party platforms during the 1960s and 1970s. Over time, many white conservative voters in the South moved toward the Republican Party. Urban and coastal areas increasingly supported Democratic candidates. This transformation occurred gradually, not suddenly, and was influenced by race, economics, urbanization, and cultural change. Geography and population patterns. One of the most important drivers of the red-blue divide is population distribution. Urban areas. Cities tend to vote Democratic. Reasons often include greater racial and ethnic diversity, higher population density, and more reliance on public infrastructure. Rural areas. Rural regions tend to vote Republican, often associated with lower population density, agricultural or resource-based economies, and stronger emphasis on local governance. Because urban populations are concentrated, a state can appear red on a map while still having millions of Democratic voters. Maps exaggerate land, not people. Economic differences without overgeneralization. Economic differences are frequently cited but are often misunderstood. It is not accurate to say red states are poor, blue states are rich. Reality is more complex. Some red states have a lower cost of living, lower tax burdens, and faster population growth. Some blue states have higher GDP output, major financial and technology hubs, and higher costs of housing. Political preferences often reflect how people experience the economy, not just raw economic data. Cultural and social issues. Cultural values also influence voting behavior. Issues that often differ by region include role of religion in public life, views on federal regulation, and social policy priorities. However, culture is not static. Younger generations in both red and blue states show more varied views and less strict party loyalty. This suggests the divide is not fixed permanently. The role of federalism. Under the U.S. Constitution, states retain significant power. Federalism allows states to set education policies, regulate elections, and shape social programs. This means different states implement different policies, reinforcing visible differences. Supporters argue this protects local choice. Critics argue it deepens inequality. Both views exist within legitimate constitutional debate. Media, perception, and polarization. Media framing plays a major role. Election maps simplify reality. Social media amplifies extreme viewpoints. Most Americans do not fit cleanly into ideological boxes, hold mixed or moderate views, but political narratives often highlight conflict because conflict attracts attention. This can make division appear deeper than it actually is. Is America actually two nations? Despite political division, Americans share one constitution, one federal legal system, and interconnected economies. Red and blue states depend on each other: food production, energy, technology, and trade. Political disagreement exists within a shared national framework. Conclusion: the idea of red states versus blue states is a simplification, useful for explanation but incomplete. The divide exists, but it is not absolute, not permanent, and not unbridgeable. Understanding the structure behind the divide helps explain why disagreement persists without reducing people to stereotypes. Political differences do not eliminate shared citizenship, and understanding begins with accurate information.